welcome to Exit 7. I am, as I told you guys last week, this is the series I've been most excited about since I've been on staff here at Silverdale. I love the direction we've gone with the series. I love what the things that we're talking about. I love just the heart behind it. The heart for you to see God and know God and to know more about Him. And for it not to be about do's and don'ts. Do this, don't do that. Be a part of this, don't be a part of that. But it's to be solely focused on who God is and you and me knowing Him more. I love this series. This weekend was a great weekend, right? NFL started. How many have a fantasy football team? Did you win or lose? How many won? Let's see the hands stay up. Awesome. I won this weekend too. Won by 20. Carlos Hyde giving me 29 points on Monday night, put me over the edge, and I beat actually a close relative of Sydney. I beat Hannah Hydas, her brother-in-law, this weekend in fantasy football, so I was very proud of myself. Pumpkin spice is back at Starbucks. How many got a pumpkin spice so far? Yep, I got my first one today. Hashtag white girl, hashtag proud. Very proud. Got my first pumpkin spice. My wife just found that out. Sorry, baby, didn't know that yet. I just got my first pumpkin spice today. Most of you, college football started. How many have been to a Tennessee game so far or any college football game yet? Not as many as I thought. Not as many as I thought. So college football is back in the swing. The chill is in the air, and fall is officially on us. Amen, amen. But I wanted to start tonight with a little bit of a game. I wanted to ask couple questions. I want to ask... Philip, I'm just not even going to give that a response because you're American, so you know nothing about soccer. Just saying. Hey, so I want to start with a game, and what I want to do is most of you, if I came over to your houses, most of you probably have either on your car, in your house, on your wall, hanging from your back deck, somewhere, you probably got some sort of Tennessee flag, Alabama flag, whatever you want to call it, whatever team you support. So I want to play a quick game with you. I got 5 pictures that I want to see who can guess what they are and who can do it the quickest. Are you ready? Here is the first one. What team is that? Woo, quick, I like that. Every penny was the first one I heard. That is TCU. How about this next one? What flag is that? That's the greatest country that God ever created. How about this next flag? What country is that? Ooh, okay, I see you, Philip. And this next one, what is that? Washington State, good. And how about this last one, my least favorite of all? Tennessee. Listen, flags, banners, however you want to call it, flags and banners have been a way of signifying, listen to me, flags and banners have been a way of signifying some sort of accomplishment, some sort of victory. They've always been something people can relate to. Flags and banners have always been something that people look at and they say, I can relate to that, I connect with that. For a lot of you, that's it. For a lot of you, that orange and white tee, that's the thing that you say, you know what, I connect with that, I can relate to that. For me, it's the English flag. I see it and I say, you know what, that's me, I relate to that, I connect to that. Those are my people, that's my flag. Here's what I want to do. I want to see how many or who can guess what this next song is and who can guess it the fastest. Go ahead and listen closely. Right. Star-Spangled Banner. Right? That's something that you guys can relate to. It's the Star-Spangled Banner. Right? Which really, all that song, the title, the Star-Spangled Banner, is reference to what? The American flag. Flags have been something, banners have been something that we can connect to, that we can relate to. How about this picture? Someone tell me what this is. What was that from? Right? That's when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. You know, was he there? Was he not there? Did he really walk on the moon? I don't really know. Right? But that's when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. How about this next one? Who can tell me what this one is? Right? That was World War II. That's American soldiers in Japan on Mount, if I'm hopefully going to pronounce this right, Mount Suribachi. Right? And that was when the Americans were taking over, and they, come back to me. And they planted this flag as a way of saying, hey, we're here, we have victory, we've accomplished something. And they wanted people to know, they wanted the rest of the army to know, they wanted the rest of the military to know, hey, we've achieved something great here on this place. They wanted people to know, this is our victory, this was our accomplishment. And flags and banners have been that way for all of time. About 3,500 years ago, there was another war that took place. Another war between two armies. And I just want to read this story to you. It's going to come up on the screen. It's in Exodus 17. We're going to look at verses 8 through 15. Moses had led the Israelites out of Egypt. He'd done some incredible things. And then they get to this place where they come under attack by this group called the Amalekites. This guy called Amalek was leading them. They come under attack, and they have this. I want to read this to you. It's verses 8 through 15 in Exodus 17. And it says this. It says, while the people of Israel were still at Rephidim, the warriors of Amalek attacked them. Moses commanded Joshua, choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill, holding the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua did what Moses had commanded and fought the army of Amalek. Meanwhile, Moses, Aaron, and Hur climbed to the top of a nearby hill. As long as Moses held up the staff in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. But whenever he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained the advantage. Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up. So Aaron and Hur found a stone for him to sit on. They stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands, so his hands held steady until sunset. And as a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army of Amalek in battle. After the victory, the Lord instructed Moses, write this down on a scroll as a permanent reminder and read it aloud to Joshua. I will erase the memory of Amalek from under heaven. And here's the part I want you to get. So Moses built an altar there, and he named it Yahweh Nisi, or Jehovah Nisi, which means the Lord is my banner. That's the second name that we're going to look at tonight, Jehovah Nisi, Yahweh Nisi. The Lord is my banner. And tonight we're going to do something just a little bit different. I've got my friend Joya who's going to join us tonight. Joya is in our college ministry. She attends the Bridge. Joya has been gifted with the ability to create art. Joya is an artist. A whole lot more talented than I am. I know some of you are looking at it thinking, wait, is Maddie really going to try and paint something? Maddie is not going to try and paint anything. But Joya is. And here's what I want you guys to know. God will reveal himself to you in many different ways. It's not always the same way that he does to me. So as I teach tonight, as I teach this story of Jehovah Nisi, as I teach you about what that means and who that is, Joya is going to do the same thing but with her artwork. And tonight at the end of our service, we'll bring the two things together. So this is Joya. Feel free to watch Joya. Feel free to listen to me and watch her at the same time. Joya's not going to say anything. She's going to paint, and it's going to be awesome. And we'll talk about it when we come back together at the end. So Moses went to the top of the hill, and he took with him a staff. A staff is just like a walking stick, kind of. And this was the staff that God had used to show Moses of his presence back in Exodus 4. God had chosen his presence, chosen to allow his presence to rest upon Moses. To rest upon Moses and to rest upon the staff that Moses had with him. Moses used that staff to part the Red Sea. He used that staff to guide the Israelites through the wilderness. He used that staff at Horeb to strike a rock, that water came out. So for the Israelites, like we talk about, or you talk about, Star Spangled Banner, like you can relate to the American flag or to a Tennessee flag. For the Israelites, that staff had become their banner. For the Israelites, that staff had become a symbol of what they could relate to. That staff had become a symbol of their encouragement. They saw the staff and they thought of the great things that God had done. They saw the staff and they were reminded of where God had brought them from. They saw the staff and they were reminded of the promises that God made them. See, there wasn't anything special about the staff. There wasn't any power that the staff held. But they knew that it reminded them of God. And they knew that it reminded them of what God had done, where God had brought them from, and what God had led them to. It's just like the American flag. The American flag has no power. The American flag by itself cannot achieve anything. But when we see the flag, when you look upon the flag, you're reminded of the great things, the great men that have accomplished great things in the name of that flag. When you see the flag, you're reminded of the power of the military that stand behind that flag to protect it. You're reminded of moments like you just saw on the screen, when that flag was planted on the moon, when the flag was planted on top of Mount Suribachi during World War II. You're reminded of great moments when that flag has been held high, when that flag has been flown in the sight of great accomplishment. And for the Israelites, that was the staff. When they saw it, it was a reminder of what God had done. It was a reminder of where God had taken them. So we read that Moses goes to the top of the hill with his staff. And we read that when he lifts it high, the Israelites start to win. But as he gets tired and it gets lower, they start to lose. And we read that two guys come alongside of him, two friends, they come and they hold his hands up for him. And the Israelites eventually win the war. Here's something that Moses knew. Here's a truth that Moses knew that sometimes we don't quite understand. See, Moses isn't focused on the battle. Moses isn't focused on the war that's going on at the bottom of the hill. Moses isn't focused on how many people they have, what weapons they have. Moses isn't focused on what's going on down there, because Moses knows something that we don't. Moses knows that the battle is won up there. So Moses takes himself to the top of the hill. And he says, God, we surrender to you. You see, whenever we often see people with their hands up, it's usually, I surrender. It's usually, whoa, 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 hold on. And this time was no different. But Moses wasn't holding his hands up in surrender to Amalek. Moses was holding his hands up in surrender to who God was. Not only was he holding his hands up in surrender to who God was, I believe he was holding his hands up, he was holding the staff up so that people could see it. He was holding the staff up as a reminder of this is what God has done. He was holding the staff up as a don't forget where we came from. Don't forget what God has done for us. Don't forget what God has brought us through. Here's the first thing that I want you to know tonight about Jehovah Nissi. That God fights our battles for us. God fights our battles for us. Moses didn't ever fight in the battle. Moses didn't ever draw a sword. Moses never pulled out a bow. Moses went to the top of the hill and he showed his surrender to who God was. Because Moses knew this, Moses didn't need to fight. Moses knew this. It wasn't about how big an army was, how big a threat was, how good he was, or how good his army was. Moses knew that the battle is won by God. Moses knew that God would fight for him. I believe part of the reason we don't see victory in our lives is because we get so focused on what is going on around us. We get so focused on the battle. We don't focus on what God has done or what God is doing. We focus on the here and now. We focus on this person said this, or this person did this. Or we focus on that sin, that thing that we continue to fight with, that sin we continue to wrestle with, that thing we continue to struggle with. And we focus on our situation and not on our God. And instead of holding our hands in surrender to God, we do everything we can to fight down here. But Moses knew something that we don't grasp. Moses knew that God will fight our battles. Listen to me. When we are fighting for God's cause, when we are fighting to honor his name, when we are fighting as Moses was for his reputation, God will fight for us. As the song that you just sung says, if our God is for us, who can be against us? You're saying, if God is for us, who could possibly ever stand against us? There's nobody or nothing that can come against us if our God is for us. And when we fight for his cause, when we fight to honor his name, when we fight so he's brought glory, God goes ahead of us and God fights our battles for us. See, if I fight for Maddie, if I fight for my name, which I so often get caught up doing, God's not going to fight for me. God's not going to honor that because it's about me. God wants to fight for something when it's about him. And God will fight our battles for us. The second thing I want you to know tonight about Jehovah Nissi is this, is that God gives us victory. Not only does God fight for you, God will give you victory. God will give you victory. How many right now in your life, how many of you would say, man, I just need a victory right now? I've got this situation in my life. I got this thing going on in my life. I got this struggle right now in my life. God, I need the victory. I need you to fight for me. And God's saying, I want you to know me as Jehovah Nissi. God's saying, I want you to know me as the Lord is my banner. I want you to know that I'll fight for you. I want you to know that I'll give you the victory. But there are some things you've got to do in order for me to show you that. There's some things you've got to do in order for you to know me as Jehovah Nissi. See, Moses knew it. Moses grasped it. Moses got it. Winning and losing isn't dictated by what happens down here on this earth. Winning and losing is dictated by what happens up there. The battle is won in prayer. I want you to take a look at this short clip for me.
Because you argue a lot doesn't mean that you fight well. You got to plead with God so that he can do what only he can do. Then you got to get out of the way and let him do it. You need to do your fighting in prayer.
How many of you seen that movie so far? Lots of you. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go see it. The movie's called War Room. And the movie focuses on a couple things, really one thing. The movie focuses on us learning to fight our battles in prayer. See, because there's one thing that little old lady understood. There's one thing that little old lady had grasped, and it's a truth that Moses had grasped, but it's a truth that can change our lives, but so many of us never, ever get there. And it's this, that the battle is won in prayer. The battle is not won down here on this earth with what we do. The battle is won in prayer because God gives us the victory. Moses was given the victory. The Israelites were given the victory in the war, not through anything that they did, but listen to me, through a leader who was surrendered to God. Here's what I want to ask you tonight. We got just a couple minutes left. What battles do you have going on in your life right now? Think about that for a second. Don't look around at anybody else. Stop whispering, looking at your phone. Think about that for a second. What battles do you have going on in your life right now where you want and need a victory? What is it that you're struggling with? What area in your life is it where you would say, God, I just need to know that you're winning. I need to know that you've won. What situation do you face in your life right now where you need Jehovah Nissi? You need to know that the Lord is your banner. What situation is it right now where you need to be reminded of what God has done. What God has done for you in your life. The battles that God has won for you, in you, and through you. Maybe you struggle. Maybe you struggle with how you look. Maybe every day is a constant battle with how you look. Maybe every day you look in the mirror and you just wish the person looking back at you was different. Too fat, too skinny, too small, too tall, not pretty enough, too ugly, not big enough, not strong enough. Maybe you're that person, guy or girl, that looks in the mirror and thinks, man, what I wish I could give to look like somebody else. Maybe you're the guy or girl that goes home and can't help but open the computer and go to things where you shouldn't be looking at. Maybe you're that guy or girl who struggles so badly with your purity. Maybe you're the guy or girl who will do anything with anyone just so you feel loved. Just so you feel like you have some worth. Maybe you're that guy or girl who just can't get along with anybody. Maybe you're constantly fighting and arguing with people. Maybe you're that guy or girl who looks at your athletic ability and you wish, man, why am I like this? Why am I not a different way? Maybe every time you go home, you're that guy or girl who says, I just wish my mom and dad were here together. Maybe your battle is the struggle that your parents aren't together. Maybe it's that dad doesn't love you or mom doesn't love you. What is it right now? What is your battle? See, we get caught up a lot in Exit 7. We talk a lot about different things, different scenarios, and we talk very general at times. But tonight, I want to hit home. I want to hit close to you. And I want you to ask yourself right now, what is your battle? What is it that you are struggling with? Where is it that you feel overwhelmed? Where is it in your life, like Moses, where you just say, you know what? I'm tired. I can't hold my hands up any longer. I'm ready to throw in the towel. I'm ready to quit. I'm about done. I don't know that I can do this anymore. Where is it that you need to see and know Jehovah Nissi? That God is fighting for you. That God will give you the victory. Where is it tonight? What area in your life is it where you just need to see the banner? And you need to see it held high. And you need to remember that God has gone before you. That God has given you victory. That God has won the war. That God is fighting for you right now. What area of your life is it that you need to know Jehovah Nissi? That the Lord is your banner. Because you can know Jehovah Nissi. But you got to take some of the same steps that Moses took. You can know Jehovah Nissi. You can know that God is your banner. You can know that God has given you victory. Because we are blessed and fortunate that our banner is no longer a staff that a man used to walk around with. Our banner is no longer a staff made out of wood. It's a cross that was made from a tree. That the banner, the sign of our victory, is the cross that Jesus hung on. That is our banner. That is our victory. That signifies our Jehovah Nissi. that God has gone before you, that God has fought for you, and that your battle is won. But here's what you need to do. And I'm going to ask Brando to come, and we're going to close out. I don't often do this, but tonight I want to give you some very specific instructions. Because I believe as we look at this passage, I believe if we follow Moses' example, there are some very specific things that he did in order to know Jehovah Nissi. So tonight I'm going to ask you to do this as Brando plays this final song. If you want to know Jehovah Nissi, if you want to know God as your victory, if you want to know that the Lord is your banner, I'm going to ask you to go stand on top of the hill. Okay, the top of the hill is where people can see you. It's where you can't hide. It's where everyone looks and they can see that you're there. And our hill tonight is just going to be down here at the front, where people can see you, where people are looking at you, where people can see what you do and what you look like and how nappy your hair may be, where everyone's looking at you. This is going to be our hill tonight. And here's what I want you to do tonight as we close out. If you would say, I want to know Jehovah Nissi, I want to know that God is my victory. I want to know that God is my banner. Tonight I'm going to ask you to come to the top of the hill. I'm going to ask you to take a knee, and I'm going to ask you to do exactly what Moses did. And I'm just going to ask you to raise your hands. I'm going to ask you to raise your hands, and I'm going to ask you to pray. Whatever your prayer is, whatever your prayer needs to be. But I'm going to ask you to take a knee and raise your hands. Not because I think there's anything super spiritual in it, but because we're going to follow Moses' example, and we're going to say, God, we're dependent on Jehovah Nissi. You're going to say, God, whatever battle it is that you're fighting right now, and I don't know where you're at, whatever fight you have right now, you're saying, God, I want you to be the victory. So go ahead and stand. I'm going to pray for us. We're going to have some encouragers down front if you want somebody to pray for you. But sometimes you got to step out and you got to climb to the top of the hill and you've got to hold your hands up and say, God, I want you to be the victory.